Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City podcast. Again, Josh Pele, Mario Heron, and from the Sporting Tribune is Fernando Ramirez. I almost said welcome to another edition of the Sporting Tribune. Maybe
That too.
what the hell's going on? I'm still dizzy, by the way, from Sunday. And since I'm talking, I'll ask the first question. And Fernando, man, I expected things to happen either Sunday night, maybe Monday morning at the latest. And here we are as we do the show 2 days after the game. And I'm just going to say, WTF, what's going on with that organization?
There was a firing, though. I mean, everybody was looking for a firing. It did happen. It was just Frank Reich. But, I mean, like I had told you guys before, it would take something monumental for that to happen. I just think that they have enough respect, I guess, in a sense.
What's monumental? What's monumental?
I mean, to me, it would be if you lose this Sunday, to be honest. A New England team that just got Tommy DeVito, who still lives with his parents, just went in and beat the Patriots. It's like if you can't beat them, like I don't know, it's gonna be rough. But I'm telling you right now, the Patriots are gonna dial up something to take away Keenan Allen. It's been the Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert show, and they just haven't won because nobody else kind of steps up with them. And that's what I feel like the Patriots are going to do. The Patriots are going to take away your biggest weapon. Their biggest weapon is Keenan Allen. They're going to try and make everybody else beat them. But that's kind of been the thing. And then if you notice, Cowboys game, Dolphins game, this game, every single game where it's come down to Justin Herbert and the offense have the ball at the end, they're sending the house to blitz. Why? Because they know that the offensive line can't hold up and somebody's going to come free. That's what's happened in all these games. They wait to dial the pressure up until the end of the game, and that's just what happened. And unfortunately for the Chargers, it just has not been their season this year. And it's kind of unwinding, and it just doesn't look. I've said it a couple of weeks ago. I think I even told you guys, like, I don't know if I see them winning another game this year. It's tough, especially with some of the teams that they face and some of the defenses. I mean, I just don't know if they can continue like this. And then there's no indication. We asked Brandon, hey, Josh Palmer, how's he doing? He's like, no update on him. And it's kind of like, well, it's already been this is going to be the fourth week. And is he coming back or not? And I remember initially when we asked Brandon, is he going to IR or is he coming back? He said TBD. So that's really interesting, to be honest. If Josh Palmer can't come back, I just don't know how you can. I mean, it's already, I don't think that you can save this, but Josh Palmer at least would help get another weapon out there. But right now it's just, it doesn't look good.
Do you believe management has quit on the team? You're in the locker room after every game. You're there for the practices. Does it feel like management has quit on the team? Because for me, by not firing Brandon Staley and allow this to go on, it feels like they have quit on the team.
So you mean what you mean is that has the management showing the team like, oh yeah, like, or what do you mean
giving
by
up
that?
on the season? We're giving up on the season.
I don't think so. I think because they still have hope from last year, where last year they went on that run at the end of the season to squeeze into the playoffs. I think they're still in that mindset of we can still make a run. We have the quarterback. We can make a run at this, but I just don't know how, because even that last game against Kansas City, that game, I still think Kansas City is going to be fighting for the first seed, and I feel like they're going to play their guys, and I just don't know. Like I said, I just don't see another win. But no, I don't think that's it. I think the players, and you saw on Sunday, they're still going hard. I mean, they played that team tough. I mean, these guys, regardless, they're playing for contracts. They're playing for they're basically auditioning in a sense. So I don't think the team has given up. And I think management still believes that they have a chance, but until the fat lady sings. But in my opinion, she's warming up her pipes.
And you mentioned like the Chiefs, how they're going to be still
Ben.
kind of going. What's up, Fernando Ramirez, baby? Here we go. We're back in Bolt City. All right. Yeah, you mentioned like the Chiefs, like they'll be fighting for that one spot. Yet the Broncos, who've won 5 straight, and they're trying to get into the playoffs. And Sean Payton's looking like he's got Russell back. That defense is no slouch. So yeah, like I kind of agree with you. Chargers don't win game for the rest of the year. Wouldn't surprise me. There's one guy that in this span has been playing terrible, and drop pass against the Packers. Didn't look the best. Didn't play at all in the fourth. That's our first round pick, Quentin Johnston. Did you buy the whole Staley press conference thing of him going, oh, it's just he wasn't 100% and we weren't going to play him and that's why? Or do you think there was more to it of, hey, he's just not playing very well. And in that moment, we need guys that are more up to date, I would say, to be out there and to win this game.
Well, first of all, if the Broncos do make it to the playoffs, I think Sean Payton's coach of the year. You get shellacked by 7, or you get 70 points scored on you, then you turn around and you make the playoffs with that team. Like, that to me is major credit there. But at this point, you kind of don't know what to believe anymore just because of everything that's happened. But if you kind of look at the track record of everything, I do think it was because I saw when he came off and I was looking at him and he was in the tent for a while. So they must have been working on him. He came back in. And I think because they were moving the ball so efficiently, they were like, you know what? Let's just go with what we have. But I mean, at this point, you just don't know anymore what to believe. Because I mean, Staley saying that, and you could tell he did get frustrated during the press conference on Monday. But it's kind of up in the air. I mean, I know that Quentin said that that he had been hurt and everything. So honestly, I don't know if it's just protection or what it is, but it just seemed like they were kind of like, you know what, let's just go with what we have now. We're moving the football. Let's see if with this we can win the game. So that's what I think happened. They were just like, you know what, let's just go with the hot hands. I know, but oh, sorry, no pun intended. But I mean, like I said, yeah, like I've said though, it's literally Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, and it's like nobody else has stepped up. I mean, and that's just the plain honest truth. Like Guyton came in, he scored that touchdown against the Detroit Lions, but he hasn't really been all that much help. Gerald Everett kind of gave a little bit of a spark, 4 catches, 43. But it's just everybody, like Austin Eckler needs to step up. I'm very surprised that Josh Kelly has not gotten more of a run at this. And then they're only using 2 running backs. Darius Davis, they bring him in at weird situations. I think Kellen Moore deserves a little bit more blame also for kind of what happened on Sunday. I kind of feel like everybody's jumping on Herbert, and I'm kind of like, well, he's not the one calling the plays. Like it is Kellen Moore, but I don't know. It's just a kind of a mess right now, just all around.
It is a mess all around, and it's funny. I don't want to come off yelling at you because it seems like every time you come on as a guest, and we appreciate it, it always seems like I'm screaming at you. But I'm just going to vent everything kind of towards you right now, Fernando, because you can help us out. You were there Sunday. You were in the locker room. You were in Staley's face, the whole deal. I want to go back to what Josh said.
Yeah.
Management has given up on this team, and they didn't give up on this team on Sunday night or Monday morning. They gave up on this team a year ago when they did nothing at the trade deadline. They gave up on them again this year. They did nothing at the trade deadline. So do they honestly believe, hey, guys, we can hustle up, win some games, and possibly lose a first-round playoff game, maybe in an embarrassing fashion like we did a year ago? The fact that management has let this go on is ridiculous. Not fair to the players that can actually play, not fair to the fan base. The guys who are sitting there on the field on Sunday, and Fernando, I don't know what it was like for you in SoFi, but for the 3 of us that were watching on TV and then talked about it right after the game, Khalil Mack was the best player on the field for the Chargers. And how can a guy who's that old, who's supposed to be washed up, be the best player on the field? Look, Justin Herbert, man, we all want him to be that guy. Right now, he's a 500 quarterback who makes a lot of money. And we keep thinking he's going to be that guy, but he's now been in the league a long time. He stinks in the fourth quarter, stinks on the last drive of the game. And he has done this the entire season. He did it starting with the Miami Dolphins. The only thing that was different in this game than the other games, he didn't get a pass knocked down on the last drive. But otherwise, can't you read the blitz? Don't you know what's happening? Doesn't Kellen Moore know what's happening? What are you preparing for during the week? Staley is so overmatched and has lost this team and has lost this fan base. I cannot believe they didn't make a move, but because it's the Chargers, I can believe they didn't make a move.
So the move, I would have, like, this is the way I would put it. I don't know if there's one move that you could make that could completely help the mess that there is on the defensive side of the football. Now for the side of, no, I know. Yeah. But even then, like, I just thought that there's no depth. And that's the thing, that when you see like a team like the Rams, like, they have depth, they have guys, they know how to draft well in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round. Jesus. And they know how to get undrafted guys too. That's the thing. That's where you build all your depth, and the Chargers just don't have that. A lot of their draft picks just don't look well. With the Herbert thing, to be completely fair, the last 2 years, even his rookie year, I'm throwing that away. But the last 2 years, they had fourth quarter comebacks against the Steelers, against the Eagles, against some teams like that. It's been this year with Kellen Moore, and like I told you guys, that was kind of a knock on Kellen Moore. is that late down the stretch, it's not good for him as the offensive coordinator. So that was kind of a knock that I had heard coming out of Dallas, and it kind of has come to fruition here, and that's hurting their star quarterback in a sense. So I mean, we all know that Justin Herbert is talented, but at the same time, as soon as Mike Williams and Corey Linsley went down, this offense just completely went down as well. I mean, they have one outlier, which is the Lions game where they scored a bunch of points. And that's where I felt like that was Justin Herbert kind of putting the whole offense on his back and trying to power them to a win. It just didn't happen. But other than Keenan Allen, there's just no weapons here. I mean, everybody said before or last year, or even I said it when I was on here. I'm like, they need a tight end. They didn't go get him a tight end. They needed more depth other places. They didn't go get it. I know they got Quentin Johnston, but it was literally crazy that Zay Flowers was the one that kind of beat him on Sunday. That's another thing that's just like, wow, like he really would score two. By the way, Lamar Jackson calling his celebration ass after the game, like his soccer celebration, I just thought that was hilarious. But yeah, and I'm sure it's frustrating. I know the fan base is frustrated. Like I'll tweet out like, oh, so-and-so isn't practicing, and people are like, oh, fire Brandon Staley. I'm like, geez, okay, relax, people. Like I know that there's frustration there, but it's not just Brandon Staley. It's the people above him. It's not just him that's the problem. It's other people also. So I understand the frustration with it, but yeah, they haven't made the correct moves. They haven't drafted the right pieces. I mean, I remember a lot of people get really excited with certain draft picks and they just haven't materialized, but that's kind of been since 2013, since Tom Telesco took over. There's only one pick that usually stands out, Keenan Allen. Nobody really from 14 and 15. And then 16, I mean, Joey Bosa, Hunter Henry. And then like there's just one that usually stands out from every draft. And that's kind of been the MO as of late, or not as of late, but like during his whole tenure, in my opinion.
Fernando, I admit when I'm wrong. About 10 weeks ago, I said that Tom Telesco was a top 10 GM. Hand up. Dumbest thing I've ever said on this show. When I watch these games, it seems like they have tons of guys that are not NFL level players. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing that I am, but I believe Tom Telesco gets a pass when he drafts a guy like Keenan Allen in the third round, and then he keeps missing on draft picks in later rounds, and we're saying, well, he got Keenan Allen in the third round. Well, that was 10 years ago that he got Keenan Allen in the third round. I don't know how him or John Spanos or the guys that draft these teams aren't held more accountable for having NFL players on the Chargers that should not be in the NFL. Am I seeing the same thing that you are, or do you see it a different way?
Well, I'm kind of seeing a drop off around the whole NFL. It's not just with the Chargers, but I understand where you're coming from. But okay, you just said the name John Spanos, but who's going to hold him accountable?
Nobody,
I mean,
right?
What they're going to say is we got the players. They were just like, if you're going to make if you're going to say that, like John Spanos is going to look down and say, well, it's not my fault that Brandon and his coaching staff couldn't coach them up. That's kind of the thing there. Like, hey, we got the players, and you know what, going based off of what you just said, like, yeah, it was Keenan Allen. And then it was like, well, he drafted Justin Herbert. So that's kind of the new pass that he kind of got in that sense, if we're going that route. But yeah, it's just it's interesting, but I just don't see, like, that's the thing, being held accountable. I mean, it'd be the higher ups, and the higher up is Dean. Dean's not gonna say, oh yeah, my son is a complete failure or not a complete failure, but he's failing at president of football operations, I'm gonna fire him. That takes that would be a huge move, but I just don't think they're gonna do anything like that. The next move would be, oh, you know what, Tom, you're out of here, and so is Brandon. But I just don't know how plausible that is, because I know that they like Tom Telesco. They think the world of him, but it'll be interesting to see what happens after what happened. It's funny, you have me in this thing where it's just me, and then I hear the voice of Dave Palais, and I just start laughing. So that just gets me. But that's just the reality of it. And I know it sucks for me to say it, or like I know that you guys are shaking your head with it, but that's just kind of the reality. I mean, that, and it just when you, like, when you're the son of somebody who runs something, you tell them, Dad, it's all their fault, it ain't my fault, and your dad's gonna side with you. I mean, I know plenty of people who run companies and their kids are the ones in there, and no, it's their fault, and let's go get them out. So that's kind of where I kind of see that kind of heading.
Yeah, and to your point, like you mentioned, this is I think any GM in the NFL, when you get the QB right, you like buy yourself at least 2-3 years extended on, right? Because it's like, well, he did get the QB right, and that's just something you can always hang your hat on. But if you get that position wrong, see ya.
But
I'll
the
never
crazy
find a
part is
job.
they have, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. They
No, go
haven't won
ahead.
the division since 2000, since LT was still a
Yeah.
Charger. They haven't won the division, and it's like, how do you explain that to your fan base? Like, oh yeah, this guy, like we haven't won the division since 2009, but he's gotten 3 head coaches. Like, can you possibly give him a 4th and it'd be okay? Like, that's really the question that they're gonna have to ask themselves after this season. Like, and then especially with what happened in Jacksonville, like it's not just on Brandon, it's not on Herbert, it's not on the defense, it's on the whole organization that debacle happened in Jacksonville. So yeah, I mean, and I remember before, like during the after I think it was the Tennessee loss when Brandon was asked, "Hey, do you guys still feel a little bit after the Jacksonville?" It has nothing to do with Jacksonville. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if there's still a hangover. I don't know what's going on, but to go with what everybody thought this season was going to be to what it is now, because I mean, you backtrack 4 contracts, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams, because you were going basically all in, and it hasn't gone your way. I mean, the only 2 guys that really deserve a contract after this season are, well, I mean, an extension of a contract or something smaller, obviously, but it's Keenan Allen and Khalil Mack in a sense. I mean, but like I said, I think 3 of the 4 won't be here. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 out of the 4 would stay, but I think they're going to lean more towards 3 out of the 4, especially if somebody new comes in. But obviously, right now they have a head coach, they have a general manager. But my bad, Mario. That's your question. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Dave, you
Okay.
can go ahead. I mean, you answered the question, so.
Oh, I'm surprised. I used to guess on a lot of tests too.
Hey, I would have copied off you.
I don't know if that would have been smart.
You know, looking at this organization, I mean, they're Charger fans who live and die by the weekend of Charger football, and they're extremely frustrated. They've been frustrated for a long time. We've pointed out a million things already through this show and previous shows, and they have every right to be. I mean, they're sitting there not only investing their money, they're investing their time into this product. And
I mean, people are driving from Chula Vista, from Mexicali, from Rosarito. Like, people are coming from all over.
They are,
right.
and over and over again. And so with Dean, look, most owners, as a fan, I like when the owner kind of steps back and he lets someone else run the team. And Dean, never once has Dean's name ever been, you know, hey, Dean wants Quentin Johnston, and he's the owner, so we're picking him. But at the same time, Dean runs from the camera, runs from responsibility as far as what this disaster is. You know, when the Panthers lost on Sunday, you heard the owner walking out of his box and just scream the F word as loud as he could, and then he made a firing. But he's a little bit of a maniac. He's fired a lot of coaches in just a couple of years where, you know, it's like, do you want a coach that's, you know, that reactionary? Where is that basically a job you'd want, knowing that, hey, a bad stretch in a couple of weeks, you could be out of a job. Dean is I think the personality that's kind of quiet. Alex's dad was a big time personality, and there's only so much room, you know, where you can sit there and say, you know, I'm an alpha male. Well, I'm an alpha male too. And then he gives power to his son, John. Let's just call John out for what it is. You know, he has the job because of his name. He shouldn't be around a draft. He's proven that he's not good at his job. I wouldn't let John around the draft of beer. I would have nothing had to do with the word draft. I wouldn't let John around. Okay. Tom Telesco overmatched. AJ Preller thinks Tom Telesco's had too long of a run. It's absolutely ridiculous. And to sit there, as you say, how many
kind
coaches
of mirror images of each other, by the way.
Right. It's like, you know, I know it's the Los Angeles Chargers, but it's so San Diego. I mean, it is ridiculous of what we're watching. There's not another NFL franchise that would put up with this. And it has become, you know, the old running joke. It's a factory of disappointment is what it is. You gotta change it up. You know, you got the coolest uniforms in the league. You play in the best stadium in the league. You play in the number 2 media market. It is time for a fresh start to change things up. And you got to flip everything around. The Quentin Johnston move is ridiculous. We talking about the draft a little bit. When I'm watching the Ravens, one thing I was saying to Josh, even with their GM now and the GM before, when Ozzie Newsome was running things, the Ravens always killed it in the draft. And their coaching seems so much better than what the Chargers had on Sunday night. And I know the score was closer than what it looked like talent on the field. But it is so frustrating to say, hey, fan base, there's no guarantee this is going to get better in 2024 because we won't change. And we're the ones that control basically your emotions and your heart in this team. And where are they going? So as you mentioned, you're talking about saving money on contracts. Austin Eckler can leave right now. Joey Bosa could take his little box of Raisin Bran and get the hell out right now. Don't come back. So disappointed.
By the
he
way, my
wasn't on the
mom sent me
sideline.
that clip, and then she's like, "Oh, Joey likes the same cereal that you do." I started
Great.
laughing.
Who the hell
I was
eats
like,
Raisin Bran at night? Great. Thanks, Joey. You know, other people use that bathroom too. Yeah,
I
you
don't
aren't
eat
eating it
dinner
at
now.
SoFi,
I hate
Fernando.
Raisin Bran.
No one's eating bran at night in a stadium. Okay.
I did in
Damn it.
college, so let's pipe down. It's like it's a
Were
pretty
you at a
good. You get
stadium
pretty
where you had to
pumped.
share a bathroom with 25,000 other people? You weren't. So look, he has his own box. Be on the sideline. So Fernando going back long-winded in this whole thing.
No, you're good.
One of the things that upsets me a lot about Charger football, when LT might be the greatest Charger of all time, when he was sitting on the sideline, when he was out of the game against the Patriots in his little jacket and his black visor, and he's just sitting there sulking, and he wasn't up on the sideline trying to say, "Hey, this is what I see," to the guy that replaced him, to say, "This is," I think it was Michael Turner. "This is what I see. This is maybe where you might have an advantage here." Phillip Rivers in the same game, torn ACL, played. LT complete was all about him. Joey Bosa in the box, all about Joey. Joey, for me, I hope he's played his last game in a Charger uniform. The last memory is him crawling off the sideline crying.
I've heard different stories about that 2007 LT version, because some of the people have told me that he was up and he was saying things and he was trying to help, and then that when the camera would go to him, it was when he was on the sideline while the team was in on offense. So I don't know. I wasn't there, but I've heard different versions of that. But by the way, real quick, did you see that story of Temper, or no, the owner of the Panthers? They basically quoted and said, if someone is an asshole, like a waiter at a restaurant, he would. I could just buy the restaurant and fire that guy. Like, that's his mentality.
I want to be that guy.
I'm
I
like,
wish I was
dude,
that guy.
They said that he didn't get a promotion a couple of years ago because he's loud and profane. Like, I was like, dude, this guy's like literally that's like your like a spirit animal. Like, this guy literally just go in there and write a check and be like, here you go. But that's why you kind of need a like, if let's just say if they really are going to make the change, you have to bring somebody in that's going to change the culture. That's where you switch the culture. That's where you have to do something different, something that you haven't done, like another first year head coach. I mean, that's going to be a problem, because that's what you've gone with. The last time you had real success when you went to go get Marty, what did Marty do? He changed the culture of this locker room. He said, look, I don't want anybody doing this. I don't want anybody doing that. I heard a story about him. I don't know if Dave, you were the one. Somebody told me this story, but that Marty saw the way the players were coming out of the locker room. No, the way they were practicing on the field. And that he said, you know what, go back inside, go back to your regular clothes, change back into your practice clothes, and we're starting all over again. And the players are like, what? And he's like, get in there. And then he went in there. That's a culture changer. That's somebody who's going to be like, we're not going to take the laziness. We're going to run. We're not going to jog. We're not going to walk. Like, we need to get in there. And I kind of feel like that's what Sean Payton's done over in Denver. I know it took him a bit, but it seems like the guys have really bought in, and now they're one of the better teams in the NFL. I mean, that's kind of what you need. And I know that everybody's saying, well, this generation's different. Yeah, but you have to, in the NFL, you like, if you get a coach like that, and I'm not talking about like an Urban Meyer kind of guy, I'm talking about a guy that's going to come in here and command the respect of a team. That's what changes the culture. But I mean, I'll give Staley this. I mean, if I can. Don't everybody. I'm just gonna bring out a shield and like hold it down, Captain America style. But the players still say that they believe in the messaging. So I guess you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. I know I just saw Josh, but I mean, take it for what it's worth. But I mean, at least the guys still. And I mean, I've talked to some of the guys without a recorder or anything, and they say like, yeah, we're still bought in. We still feel like we can change this around. So I guess that's worth a little something, but you just need somebody who's going to change the culture, I guess. And that's kind of something that they haven't had, in my opinion, since Marty. I know Anthony Lynn kind of did a little bit of that. He was more like you guys remember when him and Phillip Rivers went at it on the sideline and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, I just think that's honestly, that's something that you need a culture changer in my opinion. I mean, that's something that you need somebody to kind of stir it up, and somebody that the guys can really be like, all right, let's go out there, let's do this. So, I mean, just my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those where, we need a major culture change. The problem is John Spanos is still going to be there, and I think that's an issue. no matter who you bring in, unless you say that a guy like Bill Belichick, you get free reign, which the Chargers are never going to do. Everything you're hearing that there are teams that are interested in Belichick because they say, it's run its course. He's in his last year in New England. And don't think Belichick's not looking over at this Charger game going, is that somewhere I'd possibly want to go? There's no way John Spanos would sit there and say, I'm going to take a step back for Belichick. It's extremely frustrating because we're locked in because of the coach's kid. That's how I feel. I mean, the owner's kid. That's why I feel right now.
Well, and that's the thing. Like a Jim Harbaugh, a Bill Belichick, they're going to come in here and they're going to say, "Stay out of my way." I don't know if you guys have watched Fast and Furious 5, but like when The Rock gets to Brazil, they ask him, "What do you need from us?" And he's like, "Stay the F out of my way." That's exactly what one of those coaches. Yeah, Josh is just playing charades with me. Yeah, exactly. But that's exactly what one of those guys would say. Stay out of our way. Let us do our thing, and we're gonna come in here and we're gonna change things. So I mean, that's kind of the way I feel like one of those guys would be. And you're right. I don't know if they would go for something like that. That's just not been their MO in the past. And we all saw when it came down to it, AJ Smith or Marty Schottenheimer, they sided with AJ Smith and they let go of Marty. And LT said years later, if we would have kept Marty, I feel like we would have won a Super Bowl with that team. And you've heard other guys come out and say it. Other guys on that team have come out and say it.
Yeah.
If we would have kept Marty, we would have won a Super Bowl. And who's going to know better than the guys on that field? Like those guys know exactly what goes on there. They're a lot smarter than I think people give them credit for. Like those guys know exactly what the vibe was like. I mean, Dave, you remember that defense? That defense was suffocating. They picked
team in football history to be number one in offense and defense in the same year and not playing a Super Bowl.
They used to suffocate. They would suffocate Peyton Manning. They would pick off Tom Brady in that AFC Championship where Rivers played with the torn ACL. They picked off Brady 3 times. I remember Cromartie had a run back for like a touchdown, and they called it back in that game for like an illegal block in the back or something. But like that's the thing. Pregnant. Like they were a suffocating defense or an offense that could automatically score the football with Antonio Gates, with LT. Like that's kind of the thing that you've kind of gone away from. And that's why like this team has numerous holes that they are going to have to look at in the draft and free agency and all that. Like you cannot just this team. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people were really excited because this is that's what we need to call it, a top heavy team. They're top heavy. You do have players, you do have names, but for all them to kind of mix in together, it just hasn't come to fruition. And unfortunately for them, and that's why they sit at 4-7. And that's why when you look at their schedule, you're like, well, what other game can they win? Like, kind of feels like they'll end up 5 that new game screws me up, 5-12 or 4-13. Like that's why it feels that way, because you just don't see a lot of their top players have gotten hurt. Other players haven't performed, and that falls on the head coach and the general manager, and obviously, like you said, the president of football operations. But obviously, 2 out of those 3 are expendable. The only one that's not is the president of football operations. But until they change their mentality, it's just going to be business as usual, kind of in a sense. And unfortunately, I know the frustration that there is from Charger fans. I mean, we heard the boo birds come out on Sunday. You've seen the frustration on social media, and I'm sure that fans are just kind of like, do I really want to go up there and watch the game? Do I really want to drive all the way and deal with the traffic after this in the stadium? Like that's really what now is going to come down to. But until they change their mentality, I think it's going to be business as usual. What sucks, because then you have Charger fans having to defend Justin Herbert on Twitter all day long, because you have people like Emmanuel Lacho and all these clowns coming out and trying to crap all over him. And you're kind of, and I know Charger fans go at them and stuff, but that's kind of the thing. Until they change their mentality, it's just going to be same old.
It is same old. Fernando, before we let you go, I got breaking news right here. It says X-rays on Quentin Johnston's hands have come back that he actually has skillet pans for hands. That's breaking news. Cannot catch a cold.
I thought you were going to tell me that Mark Cuban was going to sell. I saw something that Mark Cuban's thinking about selling the majority of his stock in the Mavericks. I was like, oh wow, okay, like that's what I thought you were going to tell me. But yeah, you have better sources than I do, I guess.
I knew that was fake right away. I was like, this is gonna be some smart ass comment from Dave. I just knew it so fast.
It is.
Hey, I mean,
keep from crying, Fernando.
No, but honestly, again, I appreciate you guys for having me on, and Josh, I hope your
I
neck
don't even
is
know why
okay.
you come on
'cause I
this dumb
saw-
show.
Huh?
we just hammer you. I don't even know why you come on. We just yell at you for all
No,
our
'cause I
frustrations.
love
We
you guys.
don't know.
You guys are
Me and
awesome.
Josh don't hammer him. You do. There's a huge
True, I
difference.
apologize.
I just feel bad
All
for
three
Josh.
of
Like, I
you.
think you're gonna have to give him one of those neck things because right now he was just shooting his neck all over the place, and I feel bad for being the bearer of bad news, but that's just kind of the way I see things. But but again, you guys always know you guys are my boys. Whenever you guys need me, I'll definitely come on. And with the way the season's looking, I'm sure I'll be coming on after another loss. So,
Dude.
but
Fernando
I
Ramirez, Sporting
I
Tribune.
appreciate you guys.
You're the best, man. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Oh my
Fernando.
gosh. Thanks.
See ya.
You know, he made an interesting point. All right. I want to ask you guys this because you brought up Justin Herbert at the end and how the Charger fan base defends. And people yell at us when we talk about Justin Herbert. Look, I'm telling you right now, and this isn't just saying because what I'm going to say is what people want to hear. Josh, Mario, and I are huge fans of Justin Herbert. Like, we want him to be great. The problem is that he's missing is I do believe you can judge a quarterback on a win-loss record. And people will say, oh, you can't. 100% you can judge a quarterback on a win-loss record. And Mario, I know right now you're looking up thinking Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. That's what you're thinking. And his win-loss record used to be really good. But man, you can't sit there and tell me you're great when you stink. You know what I mean? When your team stinks, you're the reflection of the team. So you can't tell me people are, let's say in Chicago, are going around saying, man, that Justin Herbert in LA is really freaking good. We might think he's great, but is he good? Does he pass the test to football fans outside of Southern California?
No. No. And the Charger fans that believe Justin Herbert is on the same level as Joe Burrow or, these top Patrick Mahomes, he is not. And I am a huge Justin Herbert fan, like you said. I really hope he's the best player in the whole league because I'm a Charger fan and I want him to do well. But you cannot tell me a guy that loses this many games is in that category. You just cannot be, period. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm not a Justin Herbert apologist. I'm not here to defend Justin Herbert when he screws up. I see it how it is. And Justin Herbert has not produced late in these games. And I think we give him too much blame maybe when they lose because maybe the play calling is not very good. The players around him aren't very good. But Justin Herbert is the only player on the offense that touches the ball every single time. And when they dial up a blitz against him, the offensive line doesn't pick it up and he gets sacked or the passes get batted down. How could you not question? Maybe it's a little bit on the quarterback too.
Yeah. Look, there's things about Herbert that you can bring up right away, right? Like there's that crazy statistic of you see how many points Herbert has scored versus how many he's given up, right? And like, well, he doesn't play both sides of the ball. He can't do much about what the defense gives up, what the defense does. But at the same time, I think in this league where we have this unbelievable quarterback talent, there's, I would say, 3 QBs very clearly stand above everyone, right? And I think that's Mahomes. I think that's Burrow. I think that's Hurts. I think everyone else
leave
is.
Lamar Jackson out. I knew you'd leave him out.
Why would I put him in?
He's
How many playoff
candidate.
wins? How many? Okay.
He's an MVP candidate.
Oh, he is. Oh, really? So he's leading. He leads his team in this year. It's not his defense.
Doing really well. Doing really well.
Okay.
Right.
What
I saw, Lamar Jackson was better than Herbert.
Okay, but like
close.
my point about the Lamar MVP thing is he just doesn't lead. Like you look at all the number statistics. What's one thing where like God, he really kicks it out of the park on that one. Like I don't hate Lamar. I think Lamar's a very talented player.
The most important statistic is that scoreboard. That's the one.
Then give it to Jalen Hurts.
Side of that scoreboard more often than that. No, I didn't say Jalen's on an MVP candidate. He 100% is. If I had a vote, Jalen would be my MVP. I'm just saying you can't sit there and throw Lamar away. Lamar is really good. I'm
not gonna throw him away, but I'm not gonna put him in the category I put Burrow, Mahomes, or Hurts. Like I'm not. He's not. He's amazing. He's a very talented player, but like Herbert, like I don't trust him at the end of the game as much as I trust Mahomes, Burrow, and Hurts. I just simply don't. And is his team been good this year? Absolutely dominant. But give me a game where it's like this is a Lamar game. He took over. No one could stop him. Give me that game. Give me that game. I can give you a Hurts game. I can give you a Mahomes game. I can give you a Burrow game. Like that's my point with Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson's is in that tier 2 with Herbert, with Allen, with I'm trying to think of another QB. Whatever. You get my point to it. Like they're in that second tier. I think for Herbert, it's yeah, he's in a tough spot. He doesn't have weapons. His defense sucks. His head coach sucks. But at the same time, Tom Brady found a way to win, man. And that's just what sits of your talent level. That's what you can get compared to. If you want to be compared to Kirk Cousins, you look fantastic. But you don't compare him to Kirk Cousins because he's of his talent level and what he brings to the table. But that being said, after everything I say, if you think Lamar Jackson deserves MVP this year, I really don't think he does. I think there's a lot of other guys that deserve it before him.
I tell you what, he's in the toughest division in the NFL, and I think Lamar Jackson has played extremely well. Again, they win games. I see him getting better. It's funny. I was a huge Joe Burrow fan going into the season. I told you he was my number 2 behind Mahomes. But man, there's a big problem when you get hurt over and over again. This is now the second season that Justin Herbert in a short career hasn't been able to finish the season. You know, he's missed a lot of games. Happened to him early in his career, happened to him again this year, started the season injured. Joe Burrow has dropped in my book from where he was because, as we say all the time, the best ability is availability. And so as talented as he might be, and he might be more accurate than Mahomes. But it's funny when you look at the Chiefs, you know, and the Chiefs can find a way to win all the time. It's one of those things where you're like, you know, the Chiefs going to win in this thing. I mean, the Raiders had a chance to be up 17-0 on the Chiefs before they came back and scored 31 points. You're watching the game and you're going, Mahomes is going to do it. Andy Reid's going to do it. It's just in their DNA. Talent for talent, offensively, the Chiefs don't give Patrick Mahomes a ton of weapons outside of one guy, outside of Kelsey. Every one of those wide receivers is as bad as the Chargers wide receivers.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's a system thing. It's a culture thing. And it made me laugh earlier when you said the Chargers had a number 1 offense, number 1 defense. It didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They didn't make the playoffs. And that was Norv Turner's team in 2010. It's been a string of bad coaches ever since Marty Schottenheimer. But my point being is that it's a culture thing. The Chargers continuously hired the wrong coaches. They say that John Spanos is going to make the decisions. I totally believe that Jerry Jones would fire Stephen Jones if they kept losing as bad as the Chargers do. The Cowboys are good right now. So Stephen Jones looks like he's doing a good job. I totally believe Jerry Jones would do what's right for the team. Chargers aren't going to do that. But it's a culture thing. And the Chiefs have a winning culture. We're going to win this game no matter how bad our receivers look. The Eagles have tons of talent. They're going to win these games. And then the 49ers, I think, are in that category too. They're going to really, really, do everything in their power to win these games. The Chargers are very much like the Bills to me, where it seems like there's just something missing. The Bills are obviously a loser franchise like the Chargers, so it doesn't surprise me. But it starts at the very top, and I think that's the biggest issue right here with the Chargers is we can talk about how Quentin Johnston was the wrong pick and Justin Herbert has no talent around him and the offensive line stinks. But, dude, management stinks, and, there's no fixing of that. That's the major, major problem here with the Chargers, and that's what really bothers me the most is that we have a problem that we can't fix, and it starts at the very top and it ends at the very top, really.
I think it's a very good comparison to the Bills because every year we hear about that defense. Like, that defense is killer. This defense is a top 5 defense in the league. We get 4 games in, half the defense is hurt, And then the big addition that they had, a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, they get Von Miller. Very, very old pass rusher. Is he good? Yeah. With a lot of miles on him, what happens? He tears his ACL. And it's just like, okay. And then you go to the other side of the ball. You have an offensive coordinator, then Ken Dorsey, they never get clicking. And you have a stud wide receiver that goes to social media and is very loud to the media with the problems he has. And it's hard to not say, yeah, there's a lot of similarities. You have a hell of a talented quarterback and you're getting nervous. Like, are we losing our title window? Because I would argue that you are if you're the Chargers and the Bills. You're losing this window. This window is getting taken over. Who's this window getting taken over by? Well, it's getting taken over sure as hell by the Chiefs. It's gotten taken over by the Bengals. This year, it's getting taken over by the Ravens. And I think if you look all around, there's a good YouTube question that we actually had of someone asking, like, what should the Chargers plan be in 2024? And I'm not going to use the word rebuild. I'll use the word reconstructure because I think that's what you kind of have to do. I don't think you have enough time to do a complete rebuild, but I think what you can do is kind of do what the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson is you can just reconstructure it. Go, okay, we have pieces that can get you a title team, right? Like, you have pieces. And you also have pieces that you need to get rid of. So get rid of the pieces that you need to get rid of and then try to get something back where you go, all right, we're not going to be bottom 4 in the league, but we can be competitive and we can stay on the right track to be more competitive year by year. I think that's what the Chargers need to do going forward is do a reconstruction and not a rebuild. Do you think that's possible, Dave?
No. Okay, I'm confused. I want to know when you're saying reconstruction, are you saying not a playoff team, but a team that's working towards the playoffs next year? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying is you get off the old man contracts that you have right now. So like a Bosa contract, you're probably like you get rid of Bosa, you get rid of Mac, and you go, okay, well we have Thule coming up. That's like really, really good. You like we're gonna keep Mike and Allen. Maybe you get rid of Mike or Allen, and you go, okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna try to get a first or second, and you get young guys, and yeah, you stay on the bridge where we can compete for the playoffs, and we're not gonna go full take mode, fight the freaking first pick.
Okay, this is what I want to see. Okay, just to be clear, you have a franchise quarterback. Justin Herbert is considered a franchise quarterback. There aren't too many teams that can say we have a franchise quarterback. Once you have that, that means you should try and win every single year right now. There's no waste in Justin Herbert's career. You got to try and go right now. My opinion. Keenan Allen, I'm keeping. I'm saying goodbye to Austin Eckler. I'm saying goodbye to Joey Bosa. I'm saying goodbye to Mike Williams. Khalil Mack. I don't know if Khalil Mack wants to be here. I mean, Khalil Mack has to be going, what the hell am I doing staying around this dysfunctional franchise for? I want a chance to win. You know, he's been in the league a long time, and he hasn't had a chance to wear a ring. I assume they're all gone. That means, Mario, there's money there. You go and you fix it, and you buy guys, and you do the best you can to fix the holes you have. And then as far as, you know, your free agents, your draft, whatever, you hope you make right decisions. Telesco's gone. Look, I'll be shocked if Telesco still has his job. John, of course, is going to be there. Staley's going to be gone. Telesco's going to be gone. You can't have a top 5 pick and keep your GM and your coach. That means it was a huge failure that you went from playoff team to a top 5 pick. You're a laughing stock. Dean will get rid of those guys, and whether it's Dean's idea or John's idea, it could be anyone's idea. Any season ticket holder will tell you those 2 guys have to go. They're going to be gone this year. So when you go ahead and you try and fix the problem with the Chargers, I want them to fix it now. I want us to be doing the Bolt City podcast saying, guys, they're ready to make a run at the playoffs and a Super Bowl because we love their offseason moves. You have to have somebody that's aggressive, smart general manager to put the pieces of this team back together because let's be honest, Eckler hasn't played to what we thought he was going to be. Bosa has been a complete disappointment. Mike Williams has been hurt. Khalil Mack has played great, but Khalil Mack is old and probably wants to get out of here. It's the Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen guys, and we're building everything else around this team. That's where I'm at. I don't know where Josh is at.
I'm with Mario, and I disagree with you. I don't think you could have both things at the same time. You can't keep a majority of these guys and expect to compete. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm tired of bringing up the PFF thing because I don't even know if it's real. But you look at where these guys are ranked, and it's like I'll make up a number. They're going to go 70 defensive tackles, and Austin Johnson's going to be it was like 68 basically. He was like right at the very end. Yet this guy plays all the time. You can't have guys on this team that you continue to throw out there that just suck. Like seriously, that just suck. You have Michael Davis finally gets benched. He's a guy that shouldn't be on the team. I think you would cut all these big contracts. Maybe I'd cut Khalil Mack too, for God's sakes. Let him go somewhere else and be a part of a better team and keep Justin Herbert and a few other guys, Derwin James, and make sure that you just build around them because the guys you have on the team now, you're not going to win with them. They have a loser mentality. You can't keep the same guys and expect it to be different next year. I would never expect that to happen with any team, not just the Chargers. You got to get rid of these guys, cut the fat. I'm tired of people telling me that Sebastian Joseph Day is this really productive player. He's not. Okay. Eric Kendricks, he's okay. I think Drew Tranquill was a better player than he is. I think the Chargers have a lot of guys on the team that are like that haven't lived up to what you think they were going to be. And I think you start over by building around those few guys and move forward. And maybe you do call it a rebuild because maybe that's the direction they need to go in because the Chargers right now do not have the pieces to compete. Get rid of almost everybody if you can, man. Kind of start this thing over. My opinion.
And what you're talking about with Fernando with like the schedule they have remaining, and he said it and I said I agree with it and I'll say it again. Like I would not be surprised if they finish out this year and they really don't win another game. Like I really wouldn't be that surprised. You have the Chiefs again. You have 2 times against the Broncos. Like you have the Raiders again. Like they have the Bills. You have the Eagles. Like there's teams that you're like, how the hell are they going to win? Like how the hell they can't even beat freaking Green Bay. Couldn't beat Tennessee, and when they're even healthier, like how are they going to do all this with the less receiving core, with their second best pass rusher out? Like how are they going to do this? So I think you have a great opportunity to, steer your franchise in a better direction. You've obviously flopped on this past year's first round pick. Let's see if you can do it again. Let's see if you can do better. Let's see what happens, and hopefully there's a new guy calling the shots when we get there. I will say this week, I think the Patriots almost couldn't come at a better time because they are this bad. They are the saddest organization and team in the NFL right now.
Almost.
Is this
Panthers?
Panthers? Yeah.
Mario.
Also, what
Mario, aren't the Patriots saying the same thing? Aren't we so happy we're playing the Chargers this week? It couldn't have come at a better time.
True. That is true. But I think they're more mad about the quarterback situation. I think they're more mad about that.
For sure.
And also just a quick shout out to the Panthers owner. Maybe keep all the details of draft night to yourself. Maybe keep out all the possible trades that were going to happen in your kind of draft strategy. Just if you might as well just spelled out numbnuts to the media and said that's what I am. I am numbnuts, and just held a sign or staple it to your forehead, because that's what he did. Don't freaking do that. That was the dumbest. And yeah, that whole thing. Wow. But to my point, I think this is a spot where you go, if they beat the hell out of the Patriots, is it almost like something's there and, they move forward? Staley's going to think that, Dave. I bet Staley says that in the press conference.
That's all he has to hang his hat on. Of course he is. Of course he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's having a breakdown right in front of us. Sad. I mean, coaching the Chargers
sad
is not
for who?
good for that guy's health. For him.
All of us.
Coach of the Chargers.
We're the ones that lose.
Good.
He gets paid millions of dollars.
All right. So
look,
let's go two ways on what you guys said. Okay. If you bring in a veteran coach, let's say you bring in Belichick or Harbaugh, one of these big name coaches, okay, to coach the Chargers next year. Those guys aren't sitting around for a rebuild. Those guys are going to say, dude, I'm here to win right now. I mean, that's why I came here. My name's attached to it. These guys' egos are ridiculous. But if you bring in a guy, let's say like Ben Johnson from Detroit, he's a guy that would probably sit there and go, hey, I'm here for the rebuild. I'm here. When I do put my name on this, I want to put my name on it with my players, my system, and we'll grow into this. But I can't see a veteran NFL coach that has a history of winning and having success come in and say, I'm part of a rebuild.
See, I disagree with you again on this. I think it's the opposite. I think Ben Johnson only wants to go to the best situation where he can win because he's going to be a first-time head coach. You're going to have
But if it's a
Harbaugh.
good situation, they aren't hiring a new coach. Like if Ben Johnson going to the Bears.
No, Ben Johnson's picking the quarterback. He's not picking the team. That's what he does.
Okay. So would you pick Caleb Williams or would you pick Justin Herbert?
I'll pick Justin Herbert. I don't think Caleb Williams is as great as everybody says he is. But what I'm trying to say is I think it's the opposite, because I think Harbaugh and Belichick want to start everything that they want. All their players, all their picks, they want to start it from, them being the GM basically. And I said a few weeks ago I was against it. Maybe I'm for it now because I have no trust in John Spanos. And Telesco's probably not going to be there, but I have no trust in John Spanos that he's going to make the right decision. I'd be okay with Harbaugh coming in and saying, I'm going to wipe it clean. The Sean Payton thing. It worked for them. Sean Payton hasn't even made that many major moves yet, and they're winning. I'm totally up for a new culture change. I love what he said about Marty Schottenheimer. A ton of those guys get their asses back in the locker room and change and come out again. That's the type of stuff the Chargers need. And Fernando to say, and I'm not disagreeing with Fernando, I really believe everything that he said about, they believe in his plan. What plan? What plan? One of the greatest lines from the movie Big Daddy with the old guy. What's your plan? Not to die? The 5-year plan? Don't die? I mean, it's insane that they have an actual plan that people would believe in. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody believes in the plan. The Chargers need a culture change ASAP. And I don't want to keep ranting here, but there's something that we have to talk about this show is the Quentin Johnston situation. For anybody that missed it, it's bad. Okay. After the game, I'm not going to read the whole quote, but after the game, Brandon Staley said that he was cleared to go in, but the Chargers chose during the flow of the game that it was not right to put him in. Okay, let's rewind for a second. Justin Herbert has nobody to throw to. If that's not the time to put a guy into the game at receiver, then when are you going to put him into the game? Okay, somebody probably got on Brandon Staley's ass because the next day at practice, he said, well, what I said wasn't exactly clear. What I was trying to say was that he wasn't really 100% and we didn't feel that it was right to put him in. Bull crap. Okay, you said what you said. He was clear to go in the game, and you chose not to put him in the game. Okay, and we told you Zay Flowers was going to have a good game. Everybody knows that. Zay Flowers is better than Quentin Johnston. This is a major, major, major issue. You have a first-round receiver that cannot get into the game. Deron Bland, the cornerback for the Cowboys, who's up for Defensive Player of the Year. He's played in 11 games. He's a cornerback. He's on defense. He has 7 catches for 209 yards and 5 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston has 21 catches for 190 yards, 1 touchdown. One guy plays defense and one guy plays offense and has way better numbers. What are we doing? This is a major problem, Mario. Major.
It's a disgusting, terrible problem, and it was put on front stage in front of the whole country on Sunday night, and you saw it. And look, you said it great, Josh. We are low on receivers, low on NFL receivers, and our first round pick isn't good enough to play in the most important parts of the game. That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes to what the coaches think of him as a player and the stage he is at as a player in the NFL. That has a problem. And also, why, when you are in a win now mode, would you draft a project? Why? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Why would you draft a guy that is a project that is going to take a long time to develop when you're in a win now mode? When you know that your other top 2 receivers have known to be injured. It didn't make sense in the moment. You know, Josh, we were on that live drive show when it happened. We were shocked. You were famously wanted Zay Flowers. You were right. And now you sit here and you go, another mistake that was made that has cost us a lot. And for God's sakes, whoever you are, you PR person, prep Staley a little bit. Prep him a little bit. Have him do some deep breaths. Take some lion's mane. I don't care. Hibernate. Do something. Stop going in front of the media and having a freaking panic attack and a meltdown, dude. It doesn't look good for you. Doesn't look good. Be clear on your answers. And when you're clear on your answers, you don't get follow-ups. It's simple as that, Dave. That's what drives me nuts. He gets like mad that they're asking follow-up questions. Don't make them open-ended. Just be firm. And then you don't get follow-up questions. It's not that hard. Like, this is your 3rd year as a head coach. Act like it. My God.
He's just counting down the weeks. I mean, he's out of a job. He's just counting down the weeks. I wish if he was an older guy and you kind of knew this was the end of the road, or he realized it was the end of the road. I am very curious to know what really goes on. Like, what happened with the Quentin Johnston thing? What happened? And obviously, where he got his ass chewed by the people above him for the way he answered the question on Sunday night. For the fact that, remember, Tony Romo came out and was told that Quentin Johnston doesn't know the playbook, doesn't know where to stand, doesn't know what he's doing. It's one thing mentally when you can't do things. He can't do mentally or physically. He's been a complete disappointment.
All right. Dave's two choice going off in the background there. But yeah, when you can't do it physically or mentally and you're second guessing yourself. Yeah, I know. You're second guessing yourself. You have a major problem. Before we get out of here, I want to do 2 quick YouTube comments. Is that cool? Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Where are we going?
Mark Caitlin, 8533. And, you know, this is our bad for not talking about this sooner. I really wish we put in Henley. Leonard gets an opportunity in our 3rd and 4th safeties as well. For God's sake, give him a shot, even if it's let's say, just 33% of defensive snaps. Right now, he's better than 90% of our roster at tackling and coverage. I truly believe that. Mark, I truly believe that as well. If he's if he's as good as half as good as he was in the preseason, he's as good as Kenneth Murray, and he should be getting an opportunity. I have no idea if he's still hurt or why he's not getting any love and getting some playing time. But why would you draft a guy that high to make a difference on defense and not put him in the game? Do you guys see that the same way, Mario?
If the Chargers lose one more game, which is likely, and they're out of the playoffs, because let's face it, 7 and 8 losses, you ain't getting in. Not in this AFC. I see no reason not to give him chances, more reps. I see no reason not to. It's going to be better for his development. It's going to be better for him. You get to see a lot more tape on him that you can watch in the offseason, address some issues that things he needs to grow on. I see absolutely no problem with it. I mean, it'd be good for him, good for the future of the organization. And if you're smart, which they haven't shown that they are, Tommy Boy, that could be, oh, look how good this guy is. I can hang my hat on that pick as well, because he hit on Thule. And if we look at that draft class, that's the only thing he's hit on. I'll say my boy Darius Davis, but he needs to learn how to break a tackle before I can fully conclude that he was as big of a hit as Tully was. But yeah, I don't mind it, Dave, especially if we get in this spot where, you know, they're not really playing for anything. Let's let the young guys get more reps.
I don't know why he's not playing more now. I'm not a Murray fan. None of us are Murray fans. We watch him in preseason, understand it's preseason. There's a reason he's on the team, a reason why you signed him. To me, he was a guy I was looking forward to watching all year long. I can't believe here we are, you know, at the end of November going into December 3rd against the Patriots that we're going, how come this guy's not getting playing time? So I don't know what the hell's going on in practice. I mean, he must really suck for him not to be able to play on this team.
Yep. And one last YouTube comment. It's not really a question. It's just more of a comment. It says, Austin Eckler has turned into Melvin Gordon. That was our top comment from our last show. And holy hell, are you right about that? Melvin Gordon, by the way, was there watching the game for the Ravens, laughing. I could hear him laughing from here.
Yeah, I did. I heard it.
But he has. You heard it too. Yeah. It's just not good. That's it for me.
Yeah, I saw that comment and I was like, God, that was a good one. That's a good take. Good for that guy or girl, whoever that was.
All right. So look, we encourage you to leave comments on YouTube. I have a feeling they aren't going to be that great this week, but go ahead and leave them. There's a lot of negativity. Look, man, one thing I'll say about this show is, man, we're trying to be as honest with our emotions and what we think about this team the best we can. And when it comes out negative, it's because this team stinks right now. That's just what it is. They've been an utter disappointment. The fact that the Rams are supposed to be that rebuilding team that they share a stadium with, and, you know, hey, we might trade Stafford and Aaron Donald's last rodeo and all this stuff, and McVay's thinking about leaving, that the Rams still have a chance of making the playoffs, that they're the better team in that stadium is ridiculous. I did not see this season coming the way it is at all. Completely embarrassed. Burn that show, Mario, the one we did where we predicted what the Chargers record was going to be before the season started, because it's an absolute joke. It is. Yeah. It's like lose that tape. All right. So overall, please leave your comments. We read every single one of them. You guys might not think we do. We do, which I try and reply to almost every one of you. And at the same time, all three of us really do appreciate it. Again, if you're listening to the show through the Bolt City Podcast Odyssey app, thank you so much. And we'll be back in a couple days. We'll be breaking down the Patriots Chargers game, which I was super confident about on Sunday, talking to Fernando and thinking about what Bill Belichick's going to do to Keenan Allen on Sunday makes me a little bit nervous. We'll get into all that and talk about should we be nervous or not going to play the New England Patriots. So for Mario Heron, Josh Palais, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you in a couple days.
And make sure to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you don't, you probably make out with your dad. So don't be that.